Okay, but the fact that he gave her the key as if the house didn't already belong to her just as much as him, like when they both literally grew up in that house, is completely driving me crazy. And I'm begging Jenny Han to dig way more into like classism and just like the wealth differences between them, because the way that Jeremiah views himself and his position and like his inheritance is so huge, obviously, to Sabrina, which this story derives from, but it's also so clear the way that he sees her. It's like he's giving it to her because that's the prize she gets if she marries him. And it's also ironic because he like never wants to spend a lot of time with her at the beach house. That is like exclusively something that only happens for Belly and Conrad together. And it's just crazy to me, like the arrogance, the other thing that I think is so interesting about the Band-Aid is that it's always presenting the concepts of childhood and adulthood juxtaposed next to each other. Because we see them do this too with Belly's wine and Mickey Mouse pancakes. Jer with a pacifier, Belly in a suit and tie, Belly crying on her bed, and Belly as a child. It should be noted in Casablanca, which this season is meant to reference, one of the most famous lines of film is said by Rick to Ilsa. "Here's looking at you, kid." And that concept is explored here as Belly is still a kid. Belly is wearing this Band-Aid because she's trying to be such a grown-up. She's got her big girl job because she's trying to get married, and she talks about her feet because she has big shoes to fill. She talks about wearing big girl shoes in the books as well, and that's represented here. She has a role to fill. In the book, she says these make her feet hurt, and she cuts herself while double shaving here in the show, I believe, because she's trying to look so mature, but she's in pain, and inside she's still just a kid. And in book 3, Conrad says that she looks different. He says Belly looks grown up. He says there's every likelihood that she has changed and he didn't know her anymore. But the Band-Aid, when he saw it, told him she was still a kid. She was still the girl he knew, and the girl that he grew up with. I think that Conrad sees this as a token of her childhood. In the book, though, he does not yet see she's wearing this engagement ring as a token of adulthood. And that's the irony of these symbols. Belly puts her Band-Aid on, then puts on all these grown-up things, and then at last puts on her ring. I choose to see these symbols side by side, giving us some visual irony. And maybe like this Band-Aid here, Conrad sees when Belly's bleeding, and he tries to make it better. He makes her one of her childhood favorites. It's very much giving "you drew stars around my scars." For me, this is all foreshadowing when we'll see his surfing accident. When Conrad will be bleeding, Belly will see his open wounds. I hope we hear illicit affairs, because "Don't Call Me Kid" and "Don't Call Me Baby" would tie this all together. The Band-Aid is symbolic. Belly's bleeding deep inside. That's why we heard "You're Losing Me." That's why we're missing Belly's voice. This song is full of themes of bleeding, themes of hospitals and death. Belly said to Jeremiah when her voice was at its loudest, "I don't know who you are anymore." And for me, that's where I'm at with her. I don't know who this is anymore. These lyrics say "you're losing me." I gave my peace and endless empathy, and all I did was bleed as I tried to be the bravest soldier. Belly and Jer think marriage will patch their problems up for good. I think in film, this visual tells us that her ring is a Band-Aid too. The irony is that this symbol speaks to childhood, while this is for an adult. She's wearing both. When Conrad sees her from his POV, he's scared at first. She's changed. He says the Band-Aid was that one thing on her that told him she was the same. But it's important to note that Conrad here does not see what we've seen. He doesn't know that Jer has cheated, doesn't know that they're engaged, but we know that they're bleeding. We can see how much she's changed, how close we are to losing Belly. These lyrics share her state of mind as she is rationalizing it all away, begging a man to be good and begging that man to not embarrass her. She is bleeding and in pain. And all of this takes me back to something Steven said. He said Lucinda's bleeding cash and she won't last much longer. I think this won't last last much longer. And I think all these references of bleeding point to Conrad too. He's been a walking bleeding wound. I think we'll see his accident, and I think it'll speak to the theme. I think that he and Belly both are bleeding. Both have kept their feelings in and kept them bandaged up, but they can see each other's scars and they can see each other's hearts. And I really hope that we hear Cardigan as a song just tying this together, because "You drew stars around my scars" would take it back to Venus and the idea that he gave her the moon and the stars and also, of course, infinity.